Good morning, everybody. My name is Abhiram. I'm studying in Bangalore Institute of Technology, Computer Science and Engineering. My USN is 1BI to CS003. Today I'm going to speak about the topic functional use of computer. In this topic, we are going to discuss about the introduction to computer, block diagram of functional units of computer, and different functional units. So, speaking about the computer is an electronic device which takes the input from the user and produces the desired output after the computer processes the data. Here, a computer is an electronic device that executes a sequence of instructions to carry out specified tasks and processes the data. It processes the data, and after processing it, it displays the output through the output devices. A computer it is nothing but the combination of both hardware and software resources. Hardware resources, they are also known as physical components, as they are visible to like the processor, memory devices, monitor, keyboard, etc. Software, they are a set of programs or instructions that are required by the hardware resources to function properly. So, without any one of these components, the computer would not function properly and it would lead to the problem. There are a few basic components that is the working cycle of a computer, that is the input process output cycle, and these are called as the functional unit components of a computer. It needs certain input processes that input and produce the desired output. The input unit takes the input, the central processing unit does the processing of data, and the output unit produces the memory unit holds the data and the instructions during the processing. So digital computer, now let's discuss about the digital computer. It is nothing but the computer which processes the binary data which was passed as input from the user through the external world, and it displays the calculated digital output. So therefore you can call digital computer as those that work on the digital data. This is the block diagram of functional unit of computer. It consists of input unit, output unit, memory unit, and arithmetic and logical unit, and control unit. Input and output unit together they are called as I/O devices, whereas the processor it consists of arithmetic and logical units with the control unit. And interconnection network it acts as a passage for the transfer of data between the components. Here, the components are IOD units and the processor. So, if the results or the intermediate process results needs to be stored somewhere, then we can utilize the memory, store the data based on the user's choice. So, in functional units, the input unit is responsible for taking the data and converting it into the form which is understandable by the computer. And the output unit, it handles the display of information to the user or storage of unit for later use. And arithmetic and logical unit, it performs the arithmetic and logical operations as instructed by the computer program. Functional unit, a computer organization, it describes only the functions and design of various units of digital system. Like the input unit, it is designed to take the input from the user by entering the key. The keys which we enter, it is converted into binary data, which will be understandable by the computer. So it can, the computer or the processor can access this data and perform the operation based on it. The general purpose computer system is the best known example of a digital system. Other examples include telephone switching exchanges, digital voltmeters, digital counters, electronic calculators, and digital displays. Computer architecture is nothing but it deals with the specification of instruction set and the hardware units that implement the instructions. So this basically discusses about the functioning or the about the specifications of instruction set and hardware units that implement the instructions. Computer hardware consists of electronic circuits, displays, magnetic and optic storage media, and also the communication facilities. Functional units are part of CPU that perform the operations and calculations called for by the computer program. And functional units, they consist of uh, five components, that is the input unit, central processing unit, memory unit, arithmetic and logical unit, control unit, and output unit. Performs the CPU, it performs the operations and calculations based on the input or the program that is passed as input to the computer. Okay, it is also defined as the path for exchange of information between the components. It provides the means for the functional units to exchange information and coordinate their actions, whereas the input unit accepts the coded information from human operators using devices such as keyboards or from the computers over digital communication lines. The information received is stored in the computer's memory, either for later use or to be processed immediately by the arithmetic and logical unit. The processing steps are specified by a program that is also stored in the memory. Finally, the results are sent back to the outside world to the output unit. All of these actions are coordinated by the control unit. So if the instruction that needs to be fetched from the registers to the ALU, then this functionality is controlled by the control unit. It coordinates all the functionalities and the information received is stored in the computer's memory either for data use or to be processed immediately by the arithmetic and logical unit. Since the access time of registers or the speed of these registers, editing of the registers is very fast. We make use of registers because they are present inside the processor itself. It is very convenient to categorize this information as either instructions or data. Instructions or machine instructions are explicit commands that govern the transfer of information within a computer as well as between the computer and its I/O devices. So the main uh, ins- functionality of these instructions or machine instructions are to specify the arithmetic and logical operations to be performed. This is the main function. So input unit, uh, it is nothing but a data reception unit. It's also known as a data reception unit because it receives the data or instructions from the outside world and transfer it into the computer readable form. Right. First, for input unit are keyboards, mouse, scanners, and microphones. So the input units, they are classified into manual input and automatic input. Devices that require human interaction such as keyboards and mouse, as there should be a person to type the keys or for pointing the device. So it requires human interaction, whereas a barcode scanner and this other sensors, it automatically captures the barcode and provides the output based on the input passed, that is the barcode. And function of the keyboard, it is nothing but to take the input from the user in the form of text and commands, which are directed to the computer, and it is a primary tool for the data entry. A function of a mouse, it is used for pointing, clicking, and selecting items on the computer screen, enhancing user interaction. And the scanner, it is used for scanning the documents or images, enabling their storage and manipulation on the computer. So input unit, they are used by the computer to read the data. The most commonly used input devices are keyboard, mouse, joystick, trackballs, microphones, etc. However, the most well-known input device is the keyboard. Whenever a key is pressed, the corresponding letter or the digit is automatically translated into binary code and it is sent to the computer, which processes this data and provides the output to the user. And it is transmitted through cables or either through memory or the processor. The input unit, as we have already discussed, the keyboard is used for typing text and giving specific commands, and the mouse it is used to control the position of the cursor on the screen. The memory unit, it is a crucial component used for storing data or for retrieving the data from the memory to perform a specific task, and the data stored, it can be stored temporarily or permanently on the user's basis, and its primary function is to hold data and instructions which can be processed by the CPU as needed. So this is the main function. Is basically required to store and retrieve the data, and if we want the access time to be very less, meaning at lesser time we want to access the data, then we make use of registers or cache memory because it is very near for the processor to access the data, whereas a cache memory, it is a small amount of high-speed memory which is present between the processor and the primary memory. So it is very easy for the processor to access the data. The cache memory, the virtual memory, if the RAM or if the capacity of the RAM is full, then it makes use of the virtual memory, which is very advantageous for the user. It increases the capacity and the user can work more based on this virtual memory. It can also use secondary storage where it includes hardware, hard drives, solid state drives, and other storage devices for long-term data storage. A memory unit can be referred to as a storage area in which programs are kept running and that contains data needed by the running. So basically whichever the programs uh, the user wants to run, then it should be present in the primary memory so that the processor access this data and performs a specific task. The memory unit can be categorized in two ways, namely primary memory and secondary memory. It enables a processor to access running execution applications and services that are temporarily stored in a specific memory location. So primary storage is the fastest memory that operates at electronic speed. So the access speed of secondary memory it is less compared to the primary memory because it has the less capacity where primary memory has less capacity compared to the secondary memory, and it is the fastest memory that operates at electron speeds in megabits per second. The word length of a computer is between 64, it has a maximum word length of 64 bits or 16 to 64 bits. It is also known as the volatile form of memory, means when the computer is shut down, anything contained in the RAM is lost. And cache memory is also a kind of memory which is used to fetch the data very soon. They are highly coupled with the processor. Secondary memory, it is used for storing the data permanently. So even when the computer is switched off, the data is not lost and it will be stored permanently in the storage device. Hence, it is known as a non-volatile memory. Means the data is stored permanently irrespective of the shutdown. The most common examples of secondary memory are magnetic disks, magnetic drives, and optical disks. The latest secondary device which are commonly used are the SSDs and NVMe SSDs. They have the highest transfer speeds, so they are very much efficient memory unit. Let's talk about the organization of memory unit. A memory unit is organized into addresses, each holding specific piece of data or instruction. So, in a memory, it is divided into the word length, and each of this word length has a specific address where the process can access the data based on this address, which will be holding the data or instruction. In hierarchy, it follows the hierarchy of structure which is with different levels of memory serving varying functions and speeds. Now let's talk about the arithmetic and logical unit. Arithmetic and logical unit, it is a crucial component of computer central processing unit. It's responsible for performing arithmetic and logical operations on data obtained from the memory. The ALU is an essential part of computer's microprocessor executing arithmetic and logical instructions. So, if any of the data that needs to be processed by the computer, it is brought to the processor. The processor processes the data and produces the output, which will be accessible by the output devices. The components of CPU are nothing but the arithmetic and logical unit, registers, and the control unit. Arithmetic and logical unit, they are used for performing arithmetic and logical operations. Registers, they are temporary storage locations for frequently accessed data within the ALU. If there are some operands that needs to be stored, then it is stored in the registers so that the ALU it can access the data very quickly and process based on the operands. And control unit, it is responsible for fetching the data from the registers to the arithmetic and logical unit, and it coordinates the data movement within the ALU and the CPU. The various arithmetic operations performed are addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. The addition and subtraction, they are performed using the adders and subtractors circuit, whereas the multiplication and division, it is achieved by a series of shifts, addition and subtraction. And the logical operations performed by the ALU are nothing but the AND operation, OR operation, and the NOT operation. So, AND operation basically is uh, if two or more inputs have zero as it is an operation where even if one bit in a series of binary data consists of zero, then the output would be zero. And if all the inputs in a binary data is one, then the output would be one. In OR operation, even if one bit or even if one input is given as one, then the output would be one. Whereas in NOT operation, it is nothing but it acts like an inverter which inverts the binary data. For example, if we are giving an input as zero, then it produces the output as one, and if the input is given as one, then the output would be zero. Arithmetic and logical unit. Most of all, the arithmetic and logical operations of a computer are executed in the ALU of the processor. It performs arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and also logical operations like and or not operations. For example, if two numbers located in the memory are to be added, they are brought to the processor and the addition is performed in the arithmetic and logical unit. The sum may be stored in a memory or it might be retained in the register so that there is a next operation where the input is based on the result. Then the storage unit, that is the register, it helps the processor to access this data and perform the operation. When operands are brought into the processor, they are stored in high-speed storage units called registers. Each register can store one word of data. Access times to register are even shorter than access times to cache unit. So it is very fast than the cache unit. So registers are highly preferable when the data needs to be accessed very quickly, and the performance and optimization uh, is very efficient in terms of its properties, where when the data when it is stored in the register, the speed of processing it is on more than twice. The efforts to enhance the speed of ALU operations critical for overall CPU performance, meaning to say that when the data is stored in a register, the speed of processing will become twice. It would be more than twice, in fact, and the efficiency of the processor would increase because it would take less time, and at that less time, it would process more amount of data, and the power management is also very efficient. It requires less power to perform more operations. Control unit, it is a component that directs the operations of a computer or the directs operations of a processor. Its primary function is to manage the execution of instructions retrieved from the memory, ensuring proper coordination and timing. Control unit is a component of the computer central processing unit that coordinates the operation of the processor. It tells the computer's memory, arithmetic or logical unit, and input and output units how to respond to the program's instructions. So, hence, it is also called as the nerve center of a computer system. The primary function, and it is the very important function of the computer unit, is to fetch the instructions which would be stored in the register to the ALU so that it can perform the operation based on it. The control unit fetches the instruction determining the operation to be performed by the ALU. The data processing directs the ALU to execute the operation on the provided data. The result storage, the result that was generated by the ALU, it is again directed by the control unit to store it to the memory or to the ALU register. So in conclusion, arithmetic and logical unit, it is a pivotal component of CPU responsible for executing arithmetic and logical operations. Plays a crucial role in determining the overall processing capability and the speed of the computer system. So the input, what we pass to the computer, if it's not processed, then the computer is nothing but a passage. It is nothing but it acts like a wire. It doesn't do anything without the ALU. So ALU, it is a pivotal component. It's a very important component. It is responsible for executing arithmetic and logical operations. It plays a crucial role in determining the overall person capability and speed of computer system. So the difference between a person and a computer is that the speed of processing of a computer, it is very fast compared to a person. That's it. Thank you.